Fasten your seatbelt. I am taking you for the ride of your life. I'm going to show you what this car can really do. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Hang on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on to your butts.
Go get him, kid.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. Not a tumor at all.
What you're going to ask me. So you can go ahead and ask me what you're going to ask me. And my natural response could be to get offended.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right.
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. One movie each week, 30 years in the making. It's the 30-something movie podcast. I am your host, John Reed. I am joined, as always, by my faithful companions, the other two members of the Three Musketeers, Bo Warmbold, Pat Kanagawa. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Great, John. How are you doing? Bo, good to see you. How are you doing?
Good to see you too. Very well here, John. How are you faring on this lovely afternoon, evening, whatever it is?
Whenever anybody's listening, hey, Val Kilmer, Stephen Colbert, whoever is listening, you're mowing your lawn. It's bright. It's beautiful. Could be midnight. Who knows? Hey, you know what? I bet Val Kilmer probably does mow his lawn at midnight.
I would.
I'm gonna throw that out there. Because celebrities do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
If they're mowing their own lawn, they can do it whenever they want to.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty good point.
Yeah. That's his prerogative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm doing great. We get to talk some movies here, so I'm always good when we're talking movies.
Yes.
So our movie this time around is The Last Boy Scout. We're going to get into that one here in just a little bit. But we do our opening spiel here real quick. We do spoil the movies we talk about. We spoil freely, so just be aware of that as we're heading off on this adventure this time around. The 30-something movie podcast is part of the Scene Stealers podcast network. This episode is sponsored by Scene Stealers, international convention agent. They have a top-class roster of movie and TV stars ready to be booked now for your Comic-Con or event. A lot of Comic-Cons and events starting back up probably within the next few months or so. So if you are looking for some folks, there are some great talent on there. A lot of folks from 80s and 90s movies, a lot of fun stuff on there. So head over to scenestealersglobal.com and check out their listing over there. And then visit our website, 30podcast, that's 30podcast.com, where you can rate our show, leave a voicemail, become a co-executive producer via Patreon. And guys, I'm going to debut the idea here, and then we can see... you got to give the people what they want so we can see how the people feel about this, and they can let us know. Bo had a great idea for adding some benefits to the Patreon thing here. And so I think we just kind of need to gauge the people's response, the people's elbow, if you will, and find out, find out how they feel about it. Bo's awesome idea for Patreon was to add a tier where if you donate at that tier, you get to pick a movie that you think Pat will hate and he has to watch it.
And discuss it.
There we go. Mm-hmm. Weaponized. We are weaponizing movie recommendations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I'm excited.
The other option was the Big Lebowski GIF that where they're polishing the bowling ball nonstop because of how it's animated. Bo has a particular affinity for that one, so we thought you could donate, and for every $1 is a minute that Bo has to continuously watch this GIF. And I think we probably just record you doing it to just, for.
Yeah, we'd have to, right? I mean, that would be the whole point.
For posterity or posterior or whatever the word is.
Whatever the case may be.
Whichever the case may be. But we were figuring, we could do some of these things and donate the money to charity. And, we could make Dennis watch Howard the Duck in 4K. Now that we know it's coming out.
For every $1 you donate, Dennis has to watch Howard the Duck.
I think realistically, for every $1 you donate, Dennis has to watch a minute of Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
So, and then Dennis starts up his own campaign. For every $1 he donates, he doesn't have to watch that minute.
Yeah, that's right. So, there you go. A
little back and forth there. And I think your idea was to make me watch The Room.
Yeah, you'd have to watch The Room.
Great. Do I have to have the sound turned on?
Yeah, you got to have the sound turned on.
I feel like it's a much better movie if I turn off the sound and just put on the captioning.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Mark. Nice doggy. Oh, you're our favorite customer.
My favorite customer.
I didn't recognize you in those sunglasses. Oh, boy.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. See, I have somebody that works in my tech department whose name is Lisa.
Yeah.
And normally, I shouldn't cause any problems, but there are times when we've been working on stuff together and it's just been driving us crazy. And, on occasion, this is tearing me apart, Lisa. But I don't think she get the joke. She hasn't watched The Room.
Yeah.
I would think that's
for the best.
But
I would say that's your requirement for your tech department.
But it would be funny for me.
Yeah.
And isn't that truly all that matters?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
As long as I think it's funny.
Sort of like that book that made its rounds a couple of years back called Who Moved the Cheese? The Room is like your movie that everyone needs to watch.
That's some nasty moldy cheese, though.
Yeah. Oh man,
I might rather watch Human Centipede or something like that.
Human Centipede. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I'm not going to say.
God.
I'm not going to say things I can't take back, but
Yeah, I was going to say, you have the power of the edit. You might want to.
You might want to consider that one.
Yeah, you might want to not give anyone any ideas, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Don't donate to Patreon to make me watch that.
Yeah.
I did start to watch. I was putting something on the other day while I was having my lunch, and I found on.
God, hopefully not that.
No. Yeah, I enjoy sitting in my car eating my lunch while watching movies like that. No, it was Treevenge. It's much better. No, it wasn't that one either. It was Shakes the Clown. Have you guys ever seen Shakes the Clown?
Shakes or no?
I can't decide whether it's bad or not yet.
Oh.
I wanted to give it a try because the main character, and I think the director and the writer, is Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh my.
Good.
And normally I have a difficult time with him just because of the voice, but he's not doing the voice in this movie.
Okay.
And he plays a character called Shakes the Clown, who's kind of this, alcoholic birthday party clown. And it's a dark comedy, so it's supposedly going to take a dark turn here at some point. I think I've only watched the first maybe 20 minutes or so, but apparently he gets framed for murder.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of other comedians, like there's a very young Adam Sandler in it. There's Kathy Griffin is in it. I guess Robin Williams is the head instructor of a mime school.
Oh, jeez.
So there's all kinds of comedians in it. So I'm kind of curious. I'm going to keep going through it, but I'm not sure it's a good movie.
Well, it's got you sucked in. It's got you curious.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. It's one of those that I think I'm gonna watch the rest of the way through it and then just get to the end and say, so I saw that.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's okay.
And we can now pass like ships in the night and.
So the movie is growing on you. You're just not sure whether that's growing on you like a rash or growing on you,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I can't tell if it's a positive thing yet or if this is more like a being assimilated by the Borg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll find out. All All right. Well, our movie this time around is The Last Boy Scout. This one came out on the 13th of December, 1991, because Bruce Willis loves a Christmas movie. It was rated R. Runtime of 1 hour, 45 minutes, directed by Tony Scott, who died in 2012. He also did True Romance and The Fan. Producers on this one were Michael Levy and Joel Silver. Levy did Demolition Man. Love that movie.
Yeah.
Have to watch that one, rewatch that one sometime soon. And Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Joel Silver also produced Die Hard and The Matrix. So a couple little blockbusters there.
A couple of little movies.
Little ditties. Writers for this one were Shane Black, who did the story and screenplay. He also did Lethal Weapon and The Monster Squad. And don't know if you know this, little trivia info there. Wolfman's got nards. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Oh, man. That was a fun movie.
I did not know that.
Okay. All right. That was a good movie. I love that one. Which we did that one too. Like, it's been a while, but we did that one. And then Greg Hicks also did the story, and this is his only writing credit. Cinematography done by Ward Russell, who also did Days of Thunder and The X-Files, Fight the Future. Music was done by Michael. Is it Michael Kamen or Kamen? I always worry I'm mispronouncing it.
Yeah, I thought it was Kamen.
I feel like I've always said Kamen, but maybe I haven't. I don't know.
Well, let's be consistent, and then if we're consistent, we're consistently wrong, and we can switch it, or we're consistent,
I'm happy to sit here in my wrongness and continue to be wrong.
Yeah.
He died in 2003. He also did the music for X-Men and Lethal Weapon. Budget on this one was $43 million. Box office was $114.5 million. Combined Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Letterboxd gives this a 56%. Cinema Score gives it a B+. Bruce Willis plays Joe Hallenbeck. He was in The Sixth Sense and Die Hard. Damon Wayans plays Jimmy Dix. He was in Major Payne and Mo Money. Chelsea Field plays Sarah Hallenbeck. She was in Masters of the Universe and Commando. Noble Willingham, who died in 2004, played Sheldon Marcone. He was in City Slickers and Good Morning Vietnam. Taylor Negron, who died in 2015, played Milo. He was in Biodome and Angels in the Outfield. Danielle Harris played Darian Hallenbeck. She was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and Halloween 2. Halle Berry played Cory. She was in Monsters Ball and Gothica. Bruce McGill played Mike Matthews. He was in Animal House and The Insider. Chelsea Ross played Senator Baynard. He was in Major League and Hoosiers. And Billy Blanks, the creator of Tybo, played Billy Cole. He was in Kiss the Girls and obviously all of his Tybo videos that he made. Once a first-rate Secret Service agent, Joe Hallenbeck, played by Bruce Willis, is now a gruff private investigator whose latest gig is protecting a pole dancer, played by Halle Berry. When she's murdered, he grudgingly teams up with her boyfriend, Jimmy Dix, played by Damon Wayans, an ex-quarterback with a gambling problem, and the two go after her killers. Before long, they stumble onto a plot by a well-known football magnate, Noble Willingham, to bribe federal legislators into legalizing sports gambling.
This ain't no game, Flash.
Joe Hallenbeck's a private detective who's run out of luck.
If you touch me again, I'll kill you.
2 for 2.
Told you.
Jimmy Dix.
I like Prince.
Is an ex-quarterback who was thrown out of football.
Another tragic tale of wasted youth. You're nobody. Shh. Don't tell anyone.
They were trying to clean up their acts.
You wreck him, I'll dust.
When they got dragged into the dirty world of sports corruption.
So you're gonna bribe some senators to legalize again?
Legalize sports gambling. Now,
son, we're going to a ball game.
They've got one shot.
What am I gonna do? Point it at the bad guys and shoot!
To get the goods on the bad guys.
This once, I would like to hear you scream. Play some rap music. Not like these, man. Take your best shot.
If they don't kill each other first.
That was a bomb? That or a hell of a factory recall.
Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, The Last Boy Scout.
Danger's my middle name.
Mine's Cornelius. Tell anybody I kill you.
Austin Danger Powers. Danger's my middle name.
Middle name.
Uh-huh. All right. So, The Last Boy Scout. One word, short phrase. How does this movie make you feel? And is this the first time you've seen it?
Not the first time I had seen it. How does it make me feel? That's a tough one. Simple. And that's not really a feeling, but it's a simple movie. It is what it is. It's not really trying to make you feel much, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say with that.
Pat,
All right.
how does this movie make you feel, Pat?
A little queasy.
Okay.
First time I've seen it.
Okay.
A little queasy.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go right in between the two of you there. And I'm gonna say this movie left me maybe unimpressed is the word I want to use. And it's the first time I've seen it. So for me, for this one, going a little bit more in depth in what I mean by unimpressed is I was entertained for the most part. I mean, it's an action movie, and Bo, like you said, it's not a super complicated. I mean, I think there are points where it tries to be a little bit more complicated in terms of its storyline, and things feel like they start to get a little convoluted with the storyline at some points. Because there were times in the movie where I was like, okay, wait, hold on. Did I just miss 10 minutes of storytelling where they told me like why we're at this point now? Or there were a few times where I had to back up a few minutes and be like, I felt like I missed something here. No, didn't miss anything. Oh, okay. All right. Well, carry on then. So as an action movie, entertained. That's fine. It's entertained. You know, it's got the car chases, it's got explosions, it's fights, all good stuff. I think part of me unimpressed because I feel like the more I watch Bruce Willis movies of this era, it's the same character in every movie. Mm-hmm. You know, it's and I love him in the Die Hard movies, so I kind of stick to those. But it's I'm a gruff, I'm a gruff ex-cop, or I'm a gruff cop who is usually drunk all the time, and I have marriage problems, and my kids don't really like me, and it's really the same character. Like, it just seems over and over again. And this character, I mean, you could have basically taken this and made this I feel like you could have taken this and made this a Die Hard movie. Like, this could have been a Die Hard movie. And I think partly because you have Shane Black as the writer. I mean, this is one of those times where, you know how Die Hard with a Vengeance was originally supposed to be a Lethal Weapon movie?
Right.
And then they converted it into Die Hard with a Vengeance with Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson. This one, you could kind of tell, since Shane Black had written the Lethal Weapon movies, I was like, was this a Lethal Weapon script that they just couldn't get made with, maybe it got rejected by Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, but yeah, I don't know. So I think some of this, it left me, as an action movie, if I could just turn my brain off and just kind of watch it, it was all right. But I just kind of found myself just getting tired of the same Bruce Willis character. Mm-hmm. Like, I like it much better once he gets to, after Die Hard, once he gets to The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and some of those other movies, The Story of Us, that romantic comedy one, Once he kind of gets to that point, then I pick him back up again. But kind of after the Die Hard movies, and at this point, I'm just like, anytime he plays a character like this, I'm just like, oh, all right, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reasoning behind my unimpressed.
Got it.
Yeah. Pat, why does this make you feel queasy?
Do you guys like cereal? Do you guys eat cereal?
On occasion, yeah.
I don't as much. I think part of it is we don't have kids, so we don't really stock it.
I feel a food analogy
I do
coming
enjoy
on.
it though when we do. It's one of those like, oh, we have cereal. It's like a novelty. So yeah.
I like me some cereal.
If you get me the right kind of cereal, I'm kind of like Pee-wee at the beginning of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
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 I pity the fool to eat my breakfast cereal.
See, and here's the thing. Like when I make a bowl of cereal, I start with one bowl and then I have to progressively get bigger bowls till I get the serving bowl. Because it's always just like, okay, what's the first thing? And you need your base layer of like fresh fruit, right? All the berries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, dingleberries, whatever. You put all the berries in there, right?
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Snozberries, that's right. And then you can find a layer of something. And, I like to try and go with the healthier stuff that, like the Cheerios or Kicks and all that kind of thing. And your kind of mainline healthier ones. And then you could put another layer of like dried fruit in there. And then you could find, you find some of the other cereal, like the granola cereals that are out there, are really good to put in there. But you got to be careful because you can't go do a ton of it because, And then I'll tell you, like, every once in a while, I like kind of like, because I mix my cereals, right? When I'm making one bowl, I try all different kinds. Then it's like, hey, I want a little hit of like sugary, right? I want a little bit of that. So I'll put in like a handful of like, I don't know, Golden Grams, or I don't know. Sometimes the ones with the marshmallows are good, like Lucky Charms, or whatever specialty. So here's my point. I got this. I
hear they're magically delicious.
Magically delicious. Yeah. Tricks or something. So that's good. Or sometimes I'll eat, have a bowl of cereal for dessert. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I'm going to get some sugary cereal. It's going to be my dessert. Not going to go to town on it and all that kind of stuff.
I got to tell you, the best cereal for dessert is, in my humble opinion, is
what is it?
Peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Peanut butter Captain Crunch. Yeah. Oh,
if you're going to do a sugary cereal as your dessert, peanut butter crunch.
Oof, peanut butter crunch. That's outstanding. That's outstanding, man. We'll have the box of Captain Crunch, and it'll be like, the Captain Crunch or any of the stuff with the, like I said, sometimes the marshmallow cereals are fun, because those, yeah. All right. So
not to interrupt you again, but when you mentioned the other Captain Crunch, I have vivid memories of this. And sometimes this is how I'll eat it too. If I go get Captain Crunch, my grandfather used to eat Captain Crunch. They have these big red plastic cups, like bigger than a pint glass. And that's how he'd eat his cereal. He'd put it in there so then he could just drink the milk when he was done. I don't think he ever used a bowl, at least not that I saw. He'd put it in the cup. He'd put his milk in. He'd eat his cereal with a longer spoon. And then he was done. He'd drink the milk. He's good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's cereal's good. What movie were we talking about again? Okay. So the point of bringing up cereal is that
The Last Emperor is the movie we're talking about. Yeah.
The last, I want to get a bowl of cereal and it's late at night. Like we're done with the podcast. I'm going to binge through the Matrix. Man, I want to snack on something. I don't want to fire the grill up. I don't want to, it's midnight, whatever. I'll have a bowl of cereal, but I'll make it a big bowl of cereal. And maybe I'll have another bowl of cereal and it just tastes so good. I'm going to have one more, and then I eat. And first thing in the morning for breakfast, it's kind of like, okay, because this is going to fill you up all day. But then you get it at night and then you get to the end of it. And then like a half hour later, you're just like, oh, that was too much cereal. And then you wake up the next morning and like, especially Raisin Bran, let's say you had a lot of bran. Okay. Then, your nickname could become the bricklayer the next morning, if you catch my drift. And so why am I talking about this? What is this a metaphor for? Suddenly those tastes in your mouth aren't as good. It's like the cereal is kind of coming back up a little bit and it doesn't taste as good as it went coming down. And you see that and it's like, I just can't even look at a bowl of fill in the blank again. Like I'm had too much, overconsumed the cereal way too late last night. Not feeling so good. That's how I feel about this movie. Inherently, I love action movies. Bruce Willis is great. Damon Wayans was great in it. You know, I mean, it's a shoot 'em up, and I like other movies Commando. I was going, Coco for Coco. What is that series? Coco for Cookie Crazy for Coco.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, you said it. I went for like that for Commando, but for some reason, this movie, for me, lots of good stuff in there, but this kind of became that I'm going to have one more bowl of cereal, and it's the one that's too much. And then suddenly, that didn't taste so good, and I'm full, and now I'm just going to lay down on the floor and promise that if I survive this, I'll never eat that much cereal again in my life. And that's kind of how I feel about the movie. Like I said, there was lots of fun stuff in there. And, I'd like to talk about, Bruce Willis and the interplay with him and Damon Wayans and but then there was some stuff that it was just like, this just doesn't taste so good. And I mean, for some reason, like the shoot 'em up and the violence, it just hit a little bit more like, yeah, this was a little bit gratuitous. So that's my long reference. And, I get to talk about food, but it just feels like that one bowl of cereal too many. Not that it's bad. Mm-hmm. There's good stuff in there. So
I'd like to point out that Pat really loves food. It is a love story between Pat and food and in this case cereal. And I just want everybody to know that love means never having to say no to a bowl of Captain Crunch. Anyway.
And it's gonna be peanut butter Captain Crunch next time I do it.
Yeah, it is.
Heck yeah! Now I want some.
Right? No, I completely agree with you. Like, there's the action scenes in the movie. Some of that stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it was kind of it felt to me. For some reason, it felt to me very disjointed. Like, I enjoyed the action scenes, but like the overall story, I kept having to, it was one of those movies where I kept having to remind myself, like, wait, okay, what's the story again? Like, why are these two guys together? Oh yeah, because his girlfriend died. Why is he involved again? Maybe I was just having a stupid moment when I was watching this, because I'm usually pretty good about following movies and remembering what they're about once I've started them. But this one, I don't know. I kept having to, something about it. I kept having to just stop and remind myself. I'm like, okay, wait, why? What were the bad guys doing again? Why were they? Okay, so it's all right. So they're trying to affect some legislation related to the sports games, so that whatever.
Yeah.
And then the action scenes, I was like, all right, that's a cool fight. All right, cool. Yeah. That's car chase, explosions, good stuff. And the funny thing is, you have the moments in this one, and that goes to one of our 3 questions later on, like favorite movie where, the hero has to go rescue their kid or something like that. I watched this movie round about the same time, and I had never seen it up until this point. I was kind of surprised. I watched this within a day of also watching the first Taken movie.
Okay.
And I was like, huh. All right. 2 very different movies. Taken, Liam Neeson's best acting? No. But I watched the movie Taken, and it's simple. Like, I know exactly what that movie is about. I can, even if I'm distracted while watching it, I can follow. I know I'm hooked throughout the entire thing. I don't have to keep stopping and checking in with myself to make sure I remember what's going on in this movie. But for some reason, Last Boy Scout kept having to just kind of stop and remind myself what was going on in this movie.
Yeah.
And this always bugs me when this happens. Where did the title come from? Who's the last Boy Scout? Like, what? I don't.
Oh, he refers to Bruce Willis as a Boy Scout a couple times.
Does he?
And when he signs the kid's card, he says, "To the daughter of the last Boy Scout."
Gotcha. Okay. I clearly missed those parts then.
Well, they weren't that prominent. I mean, it's an odd title for sure.
Yeah. And I kept trying to look it up too. I was like, what does one of them, like, is their nickname Boy Scout? Is one of them supposed to be like Goody Two Shoes? Or Yeah. Because when I think of the word Boy Scout, I'm like, okay, it's like somebody trying to do the right thing and like trying to, stay pure in the midst of, corruption and other things. And I was like, but neither one of these guys are. So who the heck is the last Boy Scout?
And I thought he was supposed to be like, they talk about it. Like, didn't they say once, like, oh, you're quite a Boy Scout, or he had done something that
I feel like
there was some effort at trying to make Bruce Willis's character out to be the the stereotypical movie Boy Scout. There was something.
Okay.
There were a couple lines, but it wasn't like a plot thread throughout.
Okay. Well, because unless they're saying it ironically, then that's also stupid.
Right.
I don't see, I didn't see anything in the movie where he could even like, unless you're joking, unless you're being sarcastic, nothing about his character says anything about being a Boy Scout.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying. I just remember something came up to where they said, "Oh, look at what you did."
Okay. I probably just missed those parts. So, Bo, we don't mean to be trashing the movie that you like.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back and say good things about it in a second, but why don't you kick it off and tell us why you liked it?
I think I talk about movies once in a while that just are something I remember enjoying when I was younger. And I think this falls into that category. It was Bruce Willis at his prime of sorts. And I was amused by it. And so when I watch it again, I'm like, oh, this movie. Yeah, I remember this. There's some blood, some guts, some death. And not too heavy a plot to go with it, but I'm okay with that. It's a good popcorn movie. It just happens. And I think, the lizard brain in me likes a little blood and guts and stuff. Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, I enjoy. The Milo character has always amused me, just because he's such a prick.
Yeah.
And so full of himself, and then he gets the crap kicked out of him, which is nice. Right. I think. I'm trying to remember.
Bruce Lee and Damon Wayans, like I think I said it before in a second before, they had a really nice chemistry. Like it worked on screen.
It did for two guys that everything you read says they just hated each other. It's kind of amazing, right?
Right.
And it makes a little sense. They were both kind of at their prime at that point. They're not exactly, similar styles either. Like you don't think of Damon Wayans and think action movie back then.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Since then he's done some more, like he did the Lethal Weapon TV show that was on not too long ago. But back then it was, it was funny because it was a reversal. As he goes forward, he does more action movies, and as Bruce Willis goes forward, he does more comedies. Yeah, he keeps going back to Die Hard and whatnot, but you go back to a franchise, I don't think that counts.
Right.
I think I always enjoyed the scenes at the beginning with Bruce Willis and oh gosh, I'm drawing a total blank on the actor's name, and I usually have the IMDb page up so I don't screw this up. But his buddy who was sleeping with his wife.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean that whole thing, like head or gut, like they've obviously done this before for something else. Like,
yeah,
Bruce McGill's the actor's name.
Thank you.
Daniel Simpson Day has no grade point average.
Has no grade point average.
All classes incomplete. Well, and see, that's one of the things. So positives for me about this movie are, and I think this is a Shane Black thing as the writer, the dialogue, like the back and forth of the characters, the dialogue, like that whole thing's like head or gut. Like, you don't need to go into this whole big long explanation as to, you know, I'm going to let you choose. I'm going to hit you in the face, or I'm going to hit you in the. It's just head or gut, and it's a creative way to get across to the hey, I'm going to do this in the macho 80s / early 90s, you know, alpha male style. I'm going to punch you, and then we're going to get back to our business. And it's just real quick, 3 words: face or gut.
And it's an interesting way to show that these guys obviously know each other. Like, this is not the first time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
So that'll be one thing I'll throw back in there as a positive is I think Shane Black is always really good at dialogue. And I think that this movie is no exception. I mean, some of the other stuff he's written, the dialogue's the strength too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun listening to it. It's fun. Like I said, just seeing the actors kind of playing their roles. You know what I'm saying?
I think maybe what threw me off from the get-go with the movie was the opening scene, the football game, and Tybo Billy Blanks running down the football field, obviously not shooting blanks, but pulling out a gun and shooting the other people as he's running down the field. And I think that to me was almost too much right at the very beginning. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, are we, is this supposed to be some like alternate universe where absurd things like this happen? Or, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. That was almost too far. It was too unbelievable for me. Like, even for a movie, if I'm lumping this in with like a Lethal Weapon or Die Hard, or what's one of the other Shane Blacks, Long Kiss Goodnight. You know, if I'm lumping it in with some of these other similar action movies, I don't know. That scene to me, that being right at the beginning of the movie, right off the bat, I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I think that might have thrown me off for the rest of the movie.
Right. Hard to suspend your disbelief after that.
Right.
Yeah, and they never did a good job of tying that into the story.
Right.
Which makes it even more incongruous.
Yeah. Instead of having an extreme event like that happening, I think it would have been helpful to see, well, how many other professional football players do they have kind of like under their thumb? Mm-hmm. You know, is this widespread? Is this just, you know, they get one player at a time, or is this, well, they've got this guy, but they've also got 4 guys on the opposing team, and they've got these guys over here, and maybe like cutting between different games and showing you a montage of different players and how they're manipulating them and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it really threw me off.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I agree with you that, yeah, everything that you said. And that's where the movie kind of like it could have fallen into social commentary where, okay, we got to keep feeding the monster. Otherwise, you know, we'll all be out of a job, was kind of the idea that the owner was trying to put forth, but nothing really proved that out in the movie. You know, there was nothing to kind of support that claim. They didn't go into, it was just supposed to be lighthearted buddy cop, right? So they didn't go into, okay, well, how are players being treated after they finish playing? You know, can they, do you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't, or it, how does the gambling thing really impact sports? And, you know, you heard that, and boy, if we don't get better ratings, football's going to go away. And it's kind of like, really? You think football's going to go away, do you? Uh-huh. Yeah. But then I try to get back there because that was in and around the time where there was the strike, right? Strike was late 80s. Wasn't it 87? So it's closer rather than farther. So, I mean, I guess, I guess you could say, you know, if you went through a strike where these aren't my players that are playing, I want to see my guys play, you know, kind of a thing, that then this movie could maybe trigger that a little bit more.
There was there was a 1987 NFL strike.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, so only 4 years before. So, you know, people would still be, those effects would still be in their mind when you have a movie where, do you know what I'm saying? Where we're exploring this. But again, we're not exploring someone that's just getting injury after injury and then having to use like medicine or juicing to kind of stay in the game. We've got, you know, we're dealing with, which would have been, you know, a little bit more of a real life and kind of compelling plot. We've got a guy running down the sidelines shooting people with a gun, which is something out of, I don't even know what it's out of, but it's just like, yeah, you know? So for right now, that's all I got to say about that. Isn't that special?
Yeah, I guess there were a couple of things here and there. I want to say when he first sits down next to, when Joe first sits down next to Jimmy, and he asks him something about his pants. He's like, you know, how much your pants cost? And he's like, $650.
$650.
Like $650. He's like, yeah. He's like, you wear them? Yeah. They don't have like a TV in them or something. And then he makes a comment. He's like, I'm very old. I guess apparently that was supposed to have been an interaction between Danny Glover's, between Murtaugh and a character. I don't know if it was his daughter. I want to say his daughter was supposed to have a dress that was like very expensive and looked ridiculous. And they were supposed to have this exact same interchange with each other. And it either got cut from that script or they just lifted it from there and dropped it into this movie or what. But apparently that was one that it was in a Lethal Weapon script and got pulled out for this one.
Huh. Interesting.
Some of the other stuff I saw in this one too is this was actually the highest when Shane Black was paid for this script was the highest somebody had been paid for a script up to that point.
Interesting.
It was something like 1.75 million. And when he he wrote Lethal Weapon, and I think that might have been his first script was Lethal Weapon, he got paid $250,000 for that script. So just a few years later, here he is, 1.75 million.
Jeez. That's crazy to think about. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say this, kind of get it out of the way, because like I said, I want to try and keep it in the positive. One of the other things I bumped on was when towards the end, Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans and his daughter are trying to get away, and he wants to commandeer the guy's car, and he points his gun at his daughter's head and says, "You don't surrender the car, she gets it." You know, kind of a thing, which, I mean, I don't know how you guys react, but like when I see that, like now, especially with everything going on, I'm just like, hey, let's just not do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, maybe audiences 20 years ago or whatever wouldn't even, would never even contemplate something like that happening. But maybe, do you know what I'm saying? Like, but now I don't know. It just, I kind of bump on that, and that took me out of it a little bit. It was like, yeah, we don't need to do that. You know? So. Yeah, that was a little iffy for me too. I was like, whoa, even if you're really careful, you're still pointing a loaded gun at your daughter's head. Yeah. I mean, I know you're already, I've watched the rest of this movie, so you're not winning the Father of the Year awards. You know, nobody's getting you world's best dad on a coffee mug, but let's not do that. Yeah. So those were just some things that I kind of struggled with. Okay. But there was good in there. There was still good in him. I can feel it. All right. Well, before we go into 3 questions, is there anything else we want to say about The Last Boy Scout?
Maybe more of a product of its time than I realized. Okay. Would you, so sometimes we ask this question,
Would you buy this movie on DVD, Blu-ray, digital? Would you buy a physical copy of this one? Pat, I'm going to guess your answer is a no.
My answer's a no, but
Okay.
I wouldn't put it beyond the realm of like a rewatch.
Yeah.
You know, like once the initial stuff is, you know, and then there's like, okay, I know this is going to come up and I can just kind of like headcanon that scene out, you know, and what's the movie? And like I said, there was some really good sections to it, really good parts. So, you know, I want to focus on those.
Yeah. Me too. I think this wouldn't be one I would buy, but yeah, at some point, if I just need to put something on, I wouldn't mind putting it back on again, give it another chance.
Yeah.
As we said last week with Bugsy, everybody deserves a fresh start every once in a while.
Everybody deserves a fresh start. Why did he seemingly at the very end, when his wife was there, why did he hug her and then like say, if there weren't these cops around, I'd spit in your face? Like, I don't get, was he mad at her? Like, what was happening there?
I think they were trying to show that weird, complicated relationship the two of them had. And trying to capitalize on some Die Hard type stuff that just fell pretty flat.
Yeah. I see. So it was an attempt.
Yeah. And not necessarily a good one.
Yeah.
Bo, would you buy a physical copy of this one, or do you have a physical copy?
I don't, and I don't think I would. I think it shows up randomly on TV on FX or something, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or you're, in a Bruce Willis mood and you search Bruce Willis on Netflix and it pops up. I think it's more that type.
Okay. Fair enough. That makes sense. All right. It's time for 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. The first of our 3 questions. Number 1, what is your favorite movie where the hero has to rescue their kid?
This was a tough one. There's a lot of these. I just didn't really realize it. So I went old school, and I have Willow and The Secret of Nim.
Oh,
nice.
High on my list.
I wasn't even thinking of Willow. That's a great one.
I also have a dark horse one, but I want to see if anyone says it first.
Okay.
Ooh. John, why don't you go?
Well, like I said earlier, I actually just very recently watched Taken for the first time. And, and I like that one. Like I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
And it was good stuff. And and one of those movies, like a very simple movie, like there's not a whole lot complicated to this. That the whole premise is pretty easy to follow, and I know what's going to happen here.
Right.
I can already tell you without knowing what his particular set of skills are.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go with, and Pat, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder with this one.
Do it.
So we'll find out.
Do it.
I think I'm going to go Commando.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
I think
bold choice.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of another one.
Uh-oh.
I might stick with Commando.
Okay.
Okay, I may stick with Commando, but there's another really good one, and I remember watching this in the theater and really enjoying it at the time. but I'm going to let you do yours, Pat, and then we'll come back. We'll find out what Bo's dark horse is, and we'll see if mine's in there too.
Okay. I'm going to go with Logan.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
And I think cause he had to get all those kids through, which included, and I looked it up to make sure, cause I was having a hard time remembering. They say that, the girl was his biological daughter.
Mm-hmm.
If I got that right.
Wasn't she a clone?
I thought she was a clone too. You know what? Okay. So let me back up. I put the cart before the horse. I tried to remember whether she was a clone or whether she was an actual, his biological daughter, but they just used some of his DNA or, whatever. What I saw, I thought it said that she was not a clone, but I don't know. I could be way off on that. And I think they said the movie is different than the comic slightly, but I don't know. That I don't know. So I will gladly defer that choice if that one is, not strictly speaking legal. But I guess that would be my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Makes sense to me.
Bo, what was your runner up?
True Lies.
Oh,
that's a good one.
I had just stumbled upon it this weekend and I was like, yes, I think so.
Cool. What about you, John?
Mine was Ransom.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember seeing that in the theater when it came out. That was the one with Gary Sinise and Mel Gibson, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I want to say I watched it a few more times after it came out on video, but no, that was a good one too.
Cool. I'd have to say, why did I just drew a complete blank of what I was just going to say. The words just went and it just left my mouth and it just burned out. If I think of it, I'll come back to it.
They left as silently as it came.
Yes.
Okay. If you think about it.
Yeah. Let me think about it.
Okay. All right.
I will try to come back.
Yeah, that's fine. Question number 2, favorite movie written by Shane Black. So I'm going to say Lethal Weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking at the list of the other ones he wrote, and while I enjoyed most of it, there were some other issues I had with Iron Man 3. Otherwise, I really enjoyed that one too. But I don't know.
Yeah, I had those too.
Mine was kind of a toss up between the Monster Squad and Lethal Weapon.
Mm-hmm. I was going to, not that we've got to wait, a few more years before we can do Iron Man 3. I'm curious because I'm in the midst of a Marvel rewatch. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that was exactly what my thought. It was like, oh yeah, Lethal Weapon. Okay. Oh, Iron Man 3, which I enjoyed. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I would put that in place of Lethal Weapon. The Iron Man 3, was it just kind of the adaptation from comic books, some of the things that he did, or was it writing based that you didn't kind of bumped on with the movie? Or I'm curious what
part of it was the twist related to the villain.
Oh, okay.
Or who you thought was the villain.
Gotcha. Okay. I get what you're saying.
Trevor.
Trevor. Yes.
Which is funny. And that's, if I didn't know the comics, I would have been like, okay, well, that's weird, but that's kind of funny. Watching the movie, I was like, oh, all right. So they're going to go that route. And then when they pull it and go that other direction, I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing because that's a great actor. And I would have thought he'd be, great to play that part. And so it threw me off a little bit. And yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
We got done in the interim with our recording. We were talking about all-time great villains. Mm-hmm. And it's like you take a powerful villain, which you really need, as is the person to love to hate. And when you take that away or minimize it, yeah, All right, I might just go with the trifecta and just say Lethal Weapon. I think it's hard to fault that movie. I mean, it's pretty great.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely had to include Monster Squad in there just as a runner up too.
Yep.
Because I love that movie as a kid, and then when I rewatched it, well, we did it for the podcast. 4 years ago now?
Jeez.
Yeah, 4 years ago now. And rewatched it, and I was like, no, this movie's still great.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Question number 3, final question here. Were you ever in a group similar to the Boy Scouts? Were you ever in a scouting organization?
Boy Scouts.
You were in the Boy Scouts? Okay.
Yeah, same here. I was. Yep.
I was not. Yeah, I never did that. At one point in time, I think I kind of wanted to, but I don't remember why my parents didn't sign me up for it. And I know my sister did, what was like the younger version of the Girl Scouts? Brownies?
Brownies, Yep.
Yeah, I know my sister did that for a while, and I feel like I wanted to do Boy Scouts, but I didn't. I don't know why they wouldn't have signed me up for it. Just
Super smart parents. Maybe they knew something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. No, I feel like the closest I got was we did when I was in England and I was at the school there. It was the British school. It was a British all boys school. There were like a whole bunch of after school extracurricular clubs that you could do, and I kind of feel like some of those had a very Boy Scouts kind of feel to them.
Okay.
You know, we'd go out, you'd go out and not necessarily like earning badges, but it was similar to that. Like we had one
badges.
I mean, those stinking badges. But like you'd do all kinds of different stuff. Like you'd learn different skills. Some of it had some like a little bit of like a service kind of thing built into it. So I think it was about the closest I ever got.
Cool.
Do you have a favorite memory or a favorite activity that you did when you were each in the Boy Scouts?
It's funny because as I have gotten older, I have less and less of a desire to do things like this, but I used to love campouts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I don't know is, do I not like it now because I'm just old and I need my soft bed, or do I not like it now because I'm old and I don't want to be the one in charge of starting the fire and all that stuff? But just in general, like the concept of the campout was a blast. Like the whole thing, the campfire, the Jiffy Pop, the hot dogs, they taught us, and I wish I remembered how to do this. My brother was bigger into it than I was, so he'd remember, because this is the kind of thing he'd remember. They taught you how to cook on a campfire, like a real meal. Like you wrap it in foil, and like they taught you. It was cool stuff. Mm-hmm. You look back on it, you're like, probably could have gotten more out of that.
Yeah, that's cool.
There was a great line in a show I've been watching, and he goes, they say youth is wasted on the young. Well, I say, don't let the wisdom of age be wasted on you.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with that experience.
Yeah, I'd say the campouts too. Just partner up with a best friend, the tent, hanging out and talking about whatever, all night. Like you said, the campfires and when the food was good, boy, my gosh, that just tasted fantastic. Especially if your tent blew down in the rain and it's like, and you got to go out and like put the tent back up and then you get up, and all that kind of stuff. Getting a good night's sleep, or, it's getting a little chilly or a little dampness in the air and all that. Man, those, like you said, the foil dinners or whatever those things that had hit the spot.
Yeah, that was some good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of impressive when you think about it. Like,
yeah. So anyways, I guess those would be my memories. Pretty similar to what Bo was saying.
Nice. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. It's going to do it for The Last Boy Scout. If you want to find out more about our show or hit up our other episodes, we are at 30podcast.com, at 30podcast on a lot of the different social media spots. We have a voicemail line. If you want to just go to our website, there is a little voicemail button when you load up our website, and that will take you right to a spot where you can record a voicemail message for us. Don't forget to check out our sponsor and the rest of the other podcasts in the Scene Stealers podcast network by heading over to scenestealersglobal.com. Our next episodes, we finish out the month of May with Point Break. And then in June, we got Ricochet, JFK, Naked Gun 2.5, Hot Shots, Toy Soldiers. Our Patreon exclusive is The Guns of Navarone from 1961. July, we have King Ralph, The Commitments, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Hook. Our Patreon episode for July is the book review of the Heir to the Empire Thrawn trilogy. And then we've got, coming up in August, not sure yet on what our Patreon is going to be for August, but our episodes are going to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country, and Suburban Commando. So we have got some really good stuff coming up over the next few months or so over the summertime. Like it's kind of weird to realize it's already almost summertime.
Yeah, that's just nutty.
It's just
time is going fast,
and summertime may need to get here really fast.
Yes.
Just saying. Just saying.
Summertime, summertime.
There you go.
Ooh, boom, boom, boom.
Pat Canigallo, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, we'll be here all night.
He'll be here all night, eating cereal and watching and probably watching the Matrix movies. Or
yeah. That was cringeworthy. That was cringeworthy. That I gotta lean into it more. I can't be bashful.
Hey, if you're good,
summertime, summertime, summertime. Ooh, boom, boom, boom.
There you go. You just gotta belt it.
Yeah, you gotta be confident. You gotta lean into it.
Go with gusto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go with gusto, my friends.
Yeah.
Go with gusto.
Go with gusto, especially when you get sucked up into that pipe in the chocolate river.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Stay thirsty, my friends. All right. Everybody, Bo, Pat, thanks for being here.
John, thank you for getting us together as always.
Yeah.
Always fun. Always fun to talk movies with you guys. So in the meantime, everybody else, you be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here next time.
Bye now.